Yes, welcome back everyone to the Integral European Conference. I'm excited that you're all here with us. My name is Andrea. I'm from Switzerland and I'm the facilitator of Pier Luigi today, who will be talking about transe cognition. And Pier, I'm just letting some more people in. Hold on a sec, there's people coming in. Pier Luigi is the founder of Biotransgetics. I apologize, but the director of Integral Transpersonal Institution of Milan. He's also the director of Transpersonal Psychotherapy School in Milan that is recognized by the Ministry of Education since 20 years. He has published many books and there's a lot of research found from him. Pier Luigi has been educated in Italy as a psychotherapist and in the 80s has been going to Brazil where he has married. And he said there was a change in his life there where he started to integrate his heart into the cognitive mind. And he's been in Brazil for about 20 years, teaching monthly until 2002 when he met his second wife, and that has brought him to Switzerland actually. So we share the same country right now. Pier Luigi has been having about 40,000 hours of psychotherapy. And now what he's doing now, he is preparing new teachers and is continuously writing books and more articles. So much regarding to him. Something regarding the administration. The chat box is closed. And if you have a question during his talk, you can raise your hand, and then he will, if I see you or he will see you, you will be able to ask a question. I will unmute you. If you have, that will be for a question that's regarding something you need to know because you can't follow him in the other way. If there's a question regarding a theme or a discussion, please write that to me in the chat box and I will collect them and then we present them and have them for the end. The whole IEC the whole session is recorded. So if you ask a question, you allow the organizers to use the video material from where you have from your questions. So you kind of give consent to that. Excellent, Pier Luigi. I'm really curious to hear more about transe cognition. I tried to get my head around that and it wasn't that easy. And I'm so curious to learn more.
Thanks, Andrea. Thanks, all of you. Yes. Well, someone is already raising hand. You are clapping. Okay, so first of all, it's very great. I can feel the field being here together, and I hope you could enjoy and you could co-building something interesting. I don't want just to give to you my maps, my epistemology and my methodology, but I would like to try to get something together, because transe cognition, that is one of the, we could say, is one of the epistemological aspect of my methodology, is something that comes from inside. Maybe someone of you know the Flow Summit. In this moment in Italy, there is the Flow Summit Italy with 30,000 persons following. This day, today, yesterday. I am also presenting there, and there is Deepak Chopra and Eckhart Tolle and Dalai Lama and so. And I attended some of the presentation. It was incredible because, of course, I say, but what I would say is already said. You know, Eckhart Tolle, the Pachop, they are saying the same that I would like to say to you, and maybe you knows also what I want to say. But I will try to say something new and to create a field to get a new experience together. Andrea spoke about Brazil, and she almost invited me to say something about this, and I like to start with an history because I think that knowing each other, the best way to know each other is to know the history, the story of the person. In the far 1982, I was a young doctor, recent degree in medicine, and I was very engaged with the politics and psychiatry. I did my degree and my master thesis in with maybe someone of you knows, Basaglia was the founder of anti-psychiatry. I was very engaged on this. But I went to Brazil, and to me Brazil was just samba, carnival, was nothing interesting. But I had been there because my first wife was Brazilian, and so I look around, and I had the opportunity to go to a Macumba center, one of the Umbanda centers, that maybe most of you knows the syncretic cult in Brazil. And I was there with fewer, very judgmental, very saying what I am doing here, and so. And at one time, the priestess called me and put me in the middle and started giving passes of energy and smoking with this cigar in my, and the drum was drumming, and I start shaking, and I felt down, and I heard the voice, "Come, you are at home. You can, you are one of us. You get your guide." So I rise up, and I start looking around, and all that people that before was so far to me was brothers and sisters. I felt them as part of me and me part of them. In a few minutes happened the shift from the mind to the heart, maybe for the first time in my life, And I put that moment as a starting point of the methodology that I create now and I teach since 84. And of course, shifting from the mind to the heart, easy to say, I guess that all of us is in this journey, But I also think that because I want to speak to you about transe cognition, because I think that there is some that is mistaken or forgotten. And is you are used to keep a lot of attention in the experience, maybe the state of consciousness, We work with state of consciousness, but when we come back, which kind of mind organize the experience? And for that I know, most of us try to organize the experience we get in the peak experiences of beyond the mind, through the mind. So we put again our experience into the boxes of rational mind. We try to understand each other through the mind. Transe cognition wants to be a construct that explains a little how you could organize our experience in a different way, in a further mode, I say. Let's see, I share the screen. And I want to start with this model that is something, I guess, almost simple, but to me is something very useful. Also, I would like to tell you that maps are not flags to waves, are not truth, are just something that can help us to understand something, no? And if they are useful, they are okay. So, our experience, whatever happens, we could say, that happens into the square, on stage. No? We are looking each other, you are listening, I am speaking, outside there is the sun and the sky and the mountain here, and so we are in the room. Everything happens in the square. Also, the feeling we have happens in the square. Everything that we can experience appears on stage. Okay, and what is the circle? What about the circle? Most of the people in life, we could say the common people, even don't imagine the existence of the circle, live into the square, or maybe in a little portion of the square. When we get the boundary of the square, we are challenged to make a shift. And I am sure that all of us had the experience of circle, of course. These are, we could say, the integral experience, the spiritual experiences, the peak experiences, all comes from the circle. But what happens? We have experience in the circle and we organize them through the square. Even though we are integral, or in my case, most transpersonal, even though we are a spiritual person, aware person, I say that finally we fall down into the dualism. We fall down into the separation between subject and object, between the experience and the interpretation of the experience. We can also go to something very well known for all of you, the 4 quadrants. Okay. Any of these experience is something that we can say something about. But also them happens into the circle, means happens coming from the self and going back to the self, coming from the essence and going back to the essence, coming from the emptiness, we could say, as Buddhists say, coming from nagual, to the tonal, we can say. There are a lot of terms, you know, that define the square and the circle, and this dialogue between square and circle. We could say the self, in transpersonal psychology, we call this the self. No? From the self, the transpersonal self, to the personal self. Okay, and as I said, we can manage this, but since the self, the emptiness, is something that we can say what it is ineffable, we can say something about it. We can use the same mind to get this, to understand this. So, some of the first indication about what I mean for transcognition, but surely other peoples use other terms to say what I call transcognition. For example, if transcognition wants to let us be able to get both square and circle in the same time. For example, in this moment, I am speaking and you are listening, but also you are speaking and I am listening. On the stage, there is I am speaking, and on the backstage, there is you are listening. But also, something from you is coming from the field to the square, and something from me is going to the square, to the circle from the square. But in this moment, we all are in the first attention, means you are listening to me and I am speaking. Transcognition invite you to use not only the first attention, but also the second attention. Not only to get the square, but also to get the circle in the same time. For example, most of the experience when we attend a conference and workshop, maybe we start with the silence, with centering, with meditating, then we go for speaking. But in this case, we are dividing. I meditate and now I speak. Transcognition, or this model, invite you, while you're speaking, listen. While we are listening, be aware of what is going from you to the speaker. And so, any moment there is this dualism that we could transcend, include, thanks to the second attention, thanks to doing something that get also the circle, do something that is not evident. But go ahead. So, to get this, we can say what it is, what I have to do to get both circle and square. We can say what you can do, but we can say what is, you know? You can say, what does it look like? Is as being at the source, is at being at home, is be aware that something is blossoming from you. Be aware of the love you are feeling in this moment. Be aware that we are here and now, of course. This is something that starts creating the condition to get. Or also, what is not transcognition? Being in judgment, try to understand what are saying this guy. Give up. Or try to feel if I am good or not. Give up. This also is personal, let flow. How to reach trance cognition? How to get a true integral experience? No strategies. Be aware if you are having any strategy, using any strategy. Forget it. Just stay. Just be aware of, for example, feel, fluidity, brightness, vivacity, harmony, freedom, respect. Try to stay, and most important, pulsation and resonance. Each of us has a rhythm, our personal rhythm. If we lose the contact with the rhythm, we are in the mind. Whatever you can do, how wise we are, how many tools we have, if we lose our own rhythm to try to get something, you are not in the condition of having an integral experience. So, which is my rhythm while I am listening to you? What you are saying is helping me to stay in contact with my rhythm and to let the rhythm flow, or what we are saying is blocking my rhythm, or what I am doing while I am listening to you is blocking my rhythm or is flowing. And I synthesize trance cognition in having clear eyes, empty mind, and light heart. But go ahead. Most of you knows the holon. Everything is something, is relation between the whole and the part. Okay, what I say is this is not this is something missing. To get trance cognition, to me, we should add something. What I call trance means me, the whole, the part, and the field where the dialogue whole part happens. Go here. Finally, the trance is me, you, and the field. I call this trance, but also the unity of the experience. We can escape from this. Everything happens is a trance. Everything happens is an holon in trance. Everything happens is me, you, and the field. In that moment, what I am saying is not only what I am saying, is what I am saying, what you are understanding, and the field around us. And that field, go back to the circle, that field is so complex. It's so complex, but also we get this field depending on our state of consciousness. More you are in that condition, more we get the field. So we can understand that, okay, the relationship between me and you, I am empathic with you, I am understanding, no, I don't agree with you, and so and so. I try to be benevolent with you, I try to understand, okay. But the field, what I do to the field? which kind of thinking is useful to get the field. How and how many importance I give to the field. What is the field to me? Remember, the field is the same, is a metaphor of the self and of the square. The same, because as you see, everything happens in the square, happens into the field. The field, the self, is always there, but we are not aware. If we don't do something, we are not aware of. And which something that we can do, which something that we do is thinking, is creating a pattern of our experience. So the concept of trance wants to be a basic model to help us to get trance cognition. If I am aware that always happens in my experience is not 2, but is 3, means 1, me, you, and the field, we create the condition to have an experience of unity and create the condition to use our mind in a better way. Most of you knows states of consciousness, stages of thinking, I guess, from Wilber. This is a little modified, but are from Ken Wilber, of course. I add this triadic map. When we are in the square, we can say we are in the world of knowledge. And when we have a deep experience, we get through the awareness, we get the essence. But the words are 3. The words of knowledge, the word of awareness that are aware of the boundaries, and the word of the essence. Transe cognition is something that works from the supra-rational levels of thinking, means psychic, causal, and not dual, and goes from word of awareness to word of essence. So what we do to the field, what we do when we have an experience, or we organize through the cognition the lower levels, instinctive or wishful thinking, dogmatic, magic, mythological, or we growing up and we use a cognition in the best way. Rational consciousness, critical thinking goes for academic thinking. Critical thinkings, but we will see after. And if you are more aware, we get the intuitive consciousness. We are mindfulness, we are aware of what I say, but we could be aware of and then go back to the cognition. What I say is that trance cognition is that way of thinking that help us to stay into the consciousness of unity, to transcend and include, cognition, and meta-cognition. As I said before, any experience is hermeneutic and empiric. My experience and the way I organize the experience through acting, feeling, thinking. Acting, feeling, thinking. I can separate, you know? If I organize my experience through the pre-rational thinking, archaic, magic, and mythological, this is what is happening. I am confused, no? I don't know. There is a confusion between boundaries. Me, you, the field, I am me, you are you, I am an animal, I am a person, this is, you know. But this is, I guess, almost clear. If we go to the wishful thinking, the facts are the facts more the projections. My experience is the experience of the world more my desires, more what I project from my unconscious. And so my way of organizing experience, my wishful thinking would be experience more projection, fact more projection. Go to critical thinking. Critical thinking, try, thanks the consciousness, the rational consciousness, think about the thinking, control the shadow, the desire, the projection, to not let them influence our experience. I observe and try to get the evidence-based experiences. But you know, evidence-based is enough. Buddhists could say evidence are appearance, so are illusions. You are satisfied with this, with critical thinking? Where is the circle there? How can you get the circle through critical thinking? You can't. So we go for lateral, de bono, or intuitive thinking. We open our mind and we have intuitions, and we broaden our experience, the field of the experience, thanks to the intuitions. But then what happens? Intuitions is a sort of light. Then I go back to the critical in the best way, or in the wishful. Intuitive thinking is a sort of circular process, but is always intuitive, then back to the rational. Go to transe cognition now. So we could say that the cognition is the best way, the critical thinking, the best way to use cognition is a good way of integrating the doer, the knower, and the feeler. What I feel, what I think, and what I do. Okay, this is good. We know meditation, wise people tell us, but you can observe yourself. Perfect. I observe the feeler, the doer, the knower. I am aware. Okay. Transe cognition tell you, okay, be aware when you get the awareness. you observe yourself doing, knowing, and feeling, there is another boundary. The self observe you. The observation observe you. The field is something aware that your awareness comes from the field, from the observation. It's not you that are aware. It's the awareness coming from. And if you think of this, most of the tradition say something about this, like this. But okay, but how to let the observation observe myself? How to let the awareness be aware of myself? Now, I suggest this one, no, let me see. So, after we will have a sort of sharing, then we will have experience about this. The transe cognition, no, wait, transe cognition. So transe cognition works with the first attention, what you see on the field, the second attention, what there is on the backstage, and put them together. Not only when you experience, but also when you organize the experience. Remember, we are speaking about cognition. So we are speaking about the way of knowing, not just the way of experiencing. Because all of us, thanks to awareness, can get something in the shadow, can expand the consciousness and get this. But transcognition means, okay, now when you come back from your space experience, be in the same state of consciousness and use the correct way of organizing. How can do this? Forget thinking. Are not you. Are not you. You are not thinking. You are thought. And you are thought depending on what you are aware of. If I am able to be in contact with the field and give up my thought, my judgment, or even my attempt to be present, and I am aware that the presence is coming from me, from the field, and I am aware that intuition is coming from me, and I'm aware that the light is coming from me. I am not me that get the light, but the light is coming. I am thought by the self. I am thought by the wisdom. I am thought by the love. Finally, to synthesize, I observe myself inside. I observe what is happening around me. I expand the consciousness and I give up. I pass to the zero, as I say. I disappear to everything is happening, stay in contact with what I feel, what I am experiencing, expand my consciousness, and disappear to everything, letting flow, letting come the thought to myself. Imagine when the same process, when you are and you have an insight. What happens when we have an insight? Maybe you are washing your food and no? Maybe you are gardening, you are running. Come from where? From the self, from the field, from the awareness. Is the awareness that bring to you this insight. But why not be always in that context and use your mind in that way? Means imagine one insight after other. Instead of having a thought one after other, so thinking A more B, C, and so having insight one after other, the flow of light, of awareness, flow through you. This is what I call trance cognition, creating the condition to stay in contact with what I call explicit clinical evidences, what happens outside, implicit essential inherence, what happens inside. To the state of consciousness, you can expand. Don't get only the square, the circle. Don't be only in the first attention, the second attention. Expand your consciousness and get the field. That's all. Do nothing more. Let it happen. Disappear. When you disappear, and tolerate the uncertainty to not know what will happen. Let the awareness think and organize your experience. This is what I call trance cognition. And after I will offer to you to do an experience about this. But also, I would like to share a little what I said up to now, to maybe any comment or feeling or insight or judgment or anything.
Can I make a comment, Pier?
Nice to meet you.
Good to see you, Pier. As soon as you said we're all hallucinating, I could feel myself letting go of the I, me inner world, that limited square. And that was wonderful. Because if we're going to create the conditions to stay in contact, there has to be that choice that there's you within the circle and that the field's available to both of us. But my question is, what I find is people overreact to the unity and the intimacy of the field. And then they're gone. It's like they're back in their square trying to recover. Do you find that to be true also?
Yeah. This is an important question, of course. But you take in account that I am, in this presentation, I am focusing on the cognition, because I said that this is something forgotten. We speak a lot about experience, but few about what we do to the experience. So this presentation is about trance cognition. But anyway, this is most about the methodology. And I say, of course, I have not the recipe of leading with the overreacting people, but we could say, having the model of trance, we could say that everything we could recognize as resonance or interference with the field. An overacting person is putting waves of interference into the field. And what we can do? Nothing but try to resonate, to put the complementary wave, you know? This as a map. Try to resonate with this interference. Try to, because we know how complex it is to work with people that are, if people is overreacting, is defending, and is giving up his power, and he feel inferior of you, and so it's very complex, of course. But in general, I could answer, try to, if you have the map that this is a trance, everything is a trance. You have a map that me, you, and the field is what is happening. Not you are overreacting. Okay, you are overreacting, but you are overreacting to me in that field. What I can do, I can give up and I leave the relation, leave the trance. Or I can try to feel, act, and think in a way, for example, with compassion, of course, with it is clear that we could say that love is the vibration of the vibrations, no? Include all the vibrations. But also, why I am, Transe cognition is a map of biotrans energetic, that is a methodology, a psychotherapy methodology. Why I say it's not enough to say love, compassion, you have to be present. Okay. It's also is not enough to say to be present, meditate. To be present, watch your breath. To be present, chant mantras. Okay. But if I have not the map of what is happening, what is actually happening, means we are in trance, means I am thought by. So I call into the field compassion. How can, and this open open to the archetypes, you know? The field is inhabited by archetypes. The archetype of the compassion, the archetype of the for example, the firmness of the warrior. I am in trance with you, you overreact. I could call the great mother and embrace you. I can call the warrior and say, hey guy, please, look at you. I am not here to take your projection. This is you, not me. And so, depending of which kind of archetype you want to contact, which kind you want to call to the field, which kind of vibration, and to get to go back to our presentation, which kind of thought we have to use for that. How you can call the great mother into the field. You cannot just think to the, and it's not enough to concentrate and call the energy of the great mother. You have to be in the state of consciousness and stage of thinking that allow the great mother come. I don't know if I answered to you. There is another Jean.
Yes, I actually have a question from Alexander. Alexander, can you unmute yourself?
Pier Luigi, I understand that you are promoting a non-intellectual approach to gaining insight and comprehension. But at the same time, your presentation appears to me to be quite intellectual too. What to do?
Ah, this is an interesting question. Depending of the level you want to look at, if we speak about integral, we speak about 5 levels, physical, at least, physical, energetical, emotional, mental, and spiritual. I can choose in that way, of course, this is a presentation. I try to pass the integral experience through the mental level, but this is up to you. Try to get other, in the square, we could say there is the word and there is epistemological maps, because this is a presentation, this is an epistemological presentation. So I have to present something by the mental level, but it's up to you to get the other level, to be aware of the other levels. How do you feel with this? And what happens inside you, and which kind of insight could happen to the spiritual level, or which kind of field there is here among us, even though I am speaking on the mental level. Because now we will have an experience, for example, but having the experience means that we go through, we could say, the spiritual level, but this doesn't mean that the other are let apart, you know? We should try to be aware of all the level. For example, I am, of course, I presented to you epistemological maps towards, we could say, mental. But my experience, thanks to you that you are listening, my experience is the experience of flow. I am very ecstatic in that moment. I am living a spiritual experience, not just word experience. Me, I hope some of you also. So I think that depending, you know, in the first attention, I am speaking, but try to get the whole picture of what is happening. And also remember that this was a presentation about thinking. So I have to say something about thinking. Jean?
Thank you, Pier Luigi.
I saw that, excuse me, but rising
sorry.
many times. Jean, how is your name? Dunaway.
Dunaway, yes.
Okay, goes.
I'm really are attracted to your model, and the idea to respond to the last question, the idea of a model to point to something that goes beyond the model to the direct experience. And my understanding of it, you're pointing to awareness, the background field of awareness. And awareness, in my understanding of Tibetan Buddhism and other practices, awareness is aware of itself in a unique way. Awareness would have to be aware of awareness itself, of its own fundamental nature, in order for anything to exist, in order for anything to be observed at all. The question how to move into a state of awareness as awareness and stay there involves practices of staying practices in the Tibetan tradition, so that once you move into the experience, you don't automatically lose the touch of the experience until you develop the capacity, and I am operating from there now, of remaining in awareness as awareness, while still able to use all your senses and thinking, etc., to negotiate our way through life.
Yes, I agree. I agree with you. What I want to point out is that what I am saying, I am sure that is what the master, the great master says is not something different, but what I say that most of us has not the model or has not the awareness enough to understand this unity, no? And there is not an epistemology in good enough to be aware that awareness is something that surrounds us and is not something that we can reach, you know, is something that is there. You can do something to let it works, you know, and we can do in any moment, even we are speaking through a video and so and so. What I say is that so often I see people that meditate and then go out in meditation and or try to put together things, maybe they works when they go meditating, that they go running and put together things, but things are already together. How to get that integral is something together now, always, all the levels, no?
Yes.
Was you up?
Yeah. So thank you. I think this was a great integration of integral and kind of out of all knowing, and it's so important. And for me, it is important because you perfect integrally informed and you're speaking to go forward and field this field and all of that stuff. So thank you. And it's like about second tier from the first stages, if we not have about a lot of sensitive, we see that you speak totally like mind, and if we have less of mind, we see like you speak a lot of like from a field. So, but for me, it's very good connection. So thank you so much, and I got a sense of insight. Thank you.
I would like to propose. Momo is Zen eating.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Pier. That was wonderful and it resonated with me a lot. I learned a lot from your presentation, and I hope this is not wrong question, but could you tell me, is the meta awareness and transe cognition and the relationship with like meta awareness and transe cognition? Because the three colors, like doer, feeler, and knower, the slide, I was a little bit confused, but it sounds to me like meta awareness. So
Get confused. Perfect.
Thank you.
Pass through the confusion. It's not important, I guess. It's not so important. What I want to say is that understanding is always what I say, more what you understand, what happens to you, you know. Is not important what I mean for transcognition. It's important that when I say, I share my dream, my trip to you, happens something to you that helps you to get your vision, you know. I say that in my vision, I challenge the meta-cognition because, you know, for now, people say cognition or meta-cognition, that is awareness, exactly, it's something to be aware of. But with transe cognition, I say awareness is not something that you get, but it's something that comes from you. You are in trance with the awareness, and the awareness is aware, and there is no separation between you are aware and the awareness. This is the transition to me.
Thank you. And that comes from the field.
Yes, yes.
Thank you very much.
That field, we can call it in many ways. That field is the Nagual, is the self, is the Akasha, is the Atman, is the spirit, is the God, is the supreme consciousness, whatever you call, the emptiness, you know?
And yes, thank you very much. I understood it.
Perfect.
Thank you very much.
I'd like to propose to you practice. Okay, I only show the picture that is this one. We will do this practice that I named the great gesture. The great gesture is a translation of Mahamudra, the orgasmic, the cosmic orgasm. And there are these four steps of the practice. So we can close our eyes. And please try to remember that, yes, of course, you are practicing, but also you are not practicing. You are simply being and being aware of something, or better, let the awareness come. The first step we could say is, I go in contact with the boundaries of my body, physical body. From inside, I go to the boundary and I feel what is happening there. I try to be aware of physical sensations, emotions, maybe thought or judgment, maybe memories, or maybe visions. I stay there. The correct word is persistence of contact there, to the boundary of my body, which I call organismic self. I don't look for nothing but recognizing what is happening there, what is coming to the stage from the backstage. I remember the self has no time, no space, and is the being. So I just am here to recognize which aspect of the self are coming on the stage. Please come. Oh, okay. Hello. I stay in contact with you. Forget any practice you know. Forget any strategy. Try not to use anything you know. Simply be there and stay. Consciousness always happens on the surface of contact to the boundary. Now, I realize that boundaries are also something that indicate a beyond. I go beyond the boundary of my body and I feel the field. And I feel what is coming from outside, from that field in which I am in that moment. I look at without and I feel what is coming within. I always am there on the level in contact with the boundaries, but now my attention is in what is coming from outside, from the famous field. Again, sensation, emotion, thought, visions, intuition, memories. I accept, I recognize, I don't look for nothing but welcome what is coming from outside on stage of my consciousness. Within and without, feeling, sensation, emotions, thought, images, memories, insight, visions, or nothing. No selection, no judgment, simply stay. No strategies. Everything is the same. Everything is self. And I am at home. The field. More I expand my consciousness, more I get portion of the field. Or maybe I have to narrow my consciousness to not get too much from the field. I can manage the expansion of my consciousness to get And now I realize that these boundaries actually are not boundaries, not only boundaries, but are doors connecting the outside and the inside, within and without. And my breath is the bridge. Breath in, breath out. Bring inside what is outside, bring outside what is inside. Any moment. Hear my rhythm, my own rhythm, my own and unique way to dialogue, to let the within and without dialogue. In, out, out, in. Sensation, feeling, emotion, thought, vision, insight. What I don't need anymore goes out. What I deserve to get comes from the self, from the field. I offer to the field everything I can. Also my qualities, my skills, my love, or maybe my needs. And I get whatever I deserve. The breath is the vehicle. In, out, and this happens ever. I don't need to practice vipassana or something. This happens. I am aware of. And now we go to the secret. I realize that I am not breathing, but I don't know if in English is exact, but I am breathed by the essence, by the inner breath, by the blow itself of the self. Is the essence, is the self breathing through me. Is the universe entire that is flowing and breathing. I feel that through my breath, but there is no boundaries. My breath is simply something that happens to me coming from the self. It's the self that is breathing. No boundaries between the one that is that breath and the breath. Ah, what a relief! I have not to breath. I am embraced by the universal, the inner breath, as Taoist says. Inner breath or inner blow. Give up. Disappear. You don't need anymore. We are not necessary. Let it happen. Everything is manifestation of that essential inner breath, with no beginning, with no end. No way to go, no way to come. Everything here, everything there, always the flow. Nothing but flow, nothing but inner breath, passing to anything. Any manifestation of the square comes from this circle that breath you. Disappearing to the source. I am the source itself, the essence itself. I'm so. Nothing else, nothing more, nothing less. Everything happens is coming from the source and going back to the source. Thanks to that inner breath, the great gesture, the cosmic orgasm, the two making one ever. At home, integral experience for true, where nothing is touched by my illusion to be separated by the self. If any illusion appears, give up, disappear, don't choose it, be aware, everything is self, and anything happens, anything is sight or intuition, from mental level, is transe cognitions, come from the self. Is the self, the essence that thought you, that doesn't exist by yourself. There is no reason to choose the illusion that I am not at home, that I am not the self. Here, now and ever. This is the reason why now I simply open my eyes with no separation with practicing or not practicing. I am still at source and can reopen and re-enter in contact with you while I am in contact with the source. You are part, me, you, and the field. In the first attention, I see you, your faces, I look if you are satisfied or not, judging or not. First attention, my ego. Second attention, I am at the source, the self, with you, that are at the same place with me. We all are. The we space actually is the self space. Wake up. Hello. Everything is keeping going. We are at home. This is a good news. There is no way to go away from, to escape from home. So guys, we have 10 minutes to share a little our experience. I would love to listen to some of you. Go. I know.
Can I get it started again?
Perfect.
I read somewhere that when you're doing the breath work, that these molecules of air that we've all shared through the world, and even in time, you know, hundreds of years ago, people are breathing in and out the same molecules. And it just seems like a model of that joining of the field that we share that's always there. So that was the imagery I was having as you were describing that. It makes it very intimate to think that we have all breathed the same molecules or parts of them at times. So I like that metaphor for the connection.
Thanks. In spite of the screen, I feel that the field, there is no boundary. We can feel the field. Why not? Yes. I am, since the beginning, I felt, I don't know, you are, we are in a very good field, and I am delighted by being with you. Thanks, Tom. Ah, Francesca Manca, parla italiano, ciao.
Ciao.
Dove sei?
This was very powerful, Pier Luigi. It's a very interesting time for me. I will not talk about me, but I want to add something to what Tom just said, which is something that I have thought about, you know, sometimes. It seems to me that it's not only the air that we breathe that has been in me, in you, in others at other times. It's even the atoms that make our body. You know, we die and nothing goes wasted. Everything goes back to earth. And when a new body forms, the new body actually uses matter that has already been around in me, in you, in others before, right? So even our bodies are not our bodies, are everybody's bodies.
Yes. Both and are not. Yeah. Thank you, Francesca. Yes.
Thank you.
This is the reason why we have not to put together things. They already are there. They already are. Don't try to, now I have to do. Dare to give up and be aware. But for that I give importance to maps. It's not just mental having maps. Having maps is having a mandala that organize, that give order to your experience. If you have not a good map, you have a wrong map. There is no way. So it's better having a good map. Oh my God. Abhishek. Yes?
That's right. Thank you so much, Pierre. Just wanted to say, when you said you are home, I think that really went very deep for me. So thanks for reminding.
So good to see so many countries here. You are from China eating, yes? China, India, Russia. Okay, Anton. Anton, go.
Yes, Pier Luigi, thank you for this journey. And this is a practical question. So, as a usual practice, it's a kind of half an hour with closed eyes, or it's 24-hour practice. So, always when you're aware how it is for you and how it can be.
Of course, there is a contradiction, no? A paradox. We are doing a practice, but we say it's not a practice. Because this is what happens. Ever. This happens. Me, you, and the field is there. There is no way. And also, what is happening inside and outside is always dialoguing. And this illusion of dialogue, illusion, but reality, is real, but is not true. But in truth, everything is self. And this is always, you know, so this is up to us to dare to behave as if this is, you know. Of course, we have to practice because we are so identified with our sub-personalities, with the conditioning that, no, but the boundary, but you think that is so, it will be so easy to be in contact at home, but we have to suffer, we have to get something, we have to do, and we have to work, we have to cleaning up and growing up before to waking up. Yes, maybe, but this growing, cleaning, waking is always there. Try to be aware of, and you will see the step you have to face. But always everything here. Act as if you are a Buddha. Why not? And if you are not, you see what we have to do to get. But integral, not dual, means no time, no space, nothing but the self. So if I need to practice to realize this, okay, we practice. But also practicing without practicing. Vai vu vai, as Tao says, you know. Do without doing. So the practice is ever 24 hours per day. Some practice you can call more practice because you stay in silence, breathing or go in the mountain or in the caves, seems more as practice. But even when you are speaking, you are loving, you are eating, as wise people say, yes, if we always are at home, why forget it? So the methodology of transe cognition and biotrans energetics humbly want to help us to act as if we are at home. And if you are at home, you know, if you are at home, using the rational mind to get something is not coherent. You have to transcend and include rational mind. This doesn't mean that you don't know the analytic, but you can transcend and include in the transe cognition, in let the thought come, let the awareness come. This is the proposal, but seems to me that we communicate enough at a good level. I feel very well with all of you. I am so grateful